Did you have any big highlights to hitting those goals?
So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I did. I crossed $100,000 of annual premium in a single month for the first time.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Trust TV, the Power Producer podcast, where we give you insights of the life insurance industry and other entrepreneurial industries. This week's episode was the number one salesperson in our agency last year. He did over $700,000 in personal production, and his agency did over $1 million. Here he is, guys. Josh Harris, like I said, had a stellar year last year. Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been selling life insurance? How long have you been building an industry or an agency? And then what were you doing before life insurance?
Yeah, so let's see. I got my license near the end of 2016, and I was part time because I was working a bunch of odd jobs, and then also was doing a semester at community college. So I got my license, and then so I was extremely part time until May of 2017. That's when I went full time as an agent.
Yep.
Before that, I was doing. I was mostly working in construction, like doing painting, working for contractors, doing odd jobs. But I was cutting grass on the weekends. Had a bunch of odd jobs, doing whatever I could to try to get ahead. But mostly just construction, manual labor, painting.
Wow. So that was before life insurance. And then what kind of brought you into the industry? What kind of piqued your interest?
Yeah, so I'd never thought about insurance before, probably like most people that are part of our team. But I was definitely looking for something new, and me and my wife had actually done a road trip across the country for 3 months. We were living out of a van, and we had saved up money to do that. And then along the way, I was like, man, I can't just keep going back to what I've been doing. I definitely wanted something different. So during that time, though, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and he was real excited about this new job opportunity with insurance, and he was just really excited about it. It caught my attention, so I inquired and had a conversation with him about it, and said, well, heck, it sounds better than what I'm doing right now. So I got my license.
Been going since full time 2017, so about 7-8 years now. That's a long time because it's longer than I've ever worked in any industry, really. So you've got to experience a lot of growth. Tell me about it before COVID and after COVID. The
Yeah, so I
differences.
mean, it's kind of a night and day difference as far as what we do and how we do it. Before COVID, everything was face to face. You had to meet with clients in their homes, in which there was great things about that, but it was you were out there on the road a lot, and depending on where lead flow was, in the different niche markets that we work in, a lot of times you had to travel to those leads. So I was pounding the pavement for sure, burning the tires and driving a lot and meeting with clients in their homes and learning how to do what we do and making it happen. And then obviously COVID, we went through a huge transition. Now we're virtual, and I did really well even face to face. As good as you can do with the time that you have to do that. But things definitely exploded once we went virtual, and definitely started being able to do more with doing less, if that makes sense.
Right, right, right. Of course. Cool. So when you were traveling with, sorry to backtrack here. When you were traveling in the van, were you guys just traveling the United States just to explore, or?
Yeah, we were just kind of like tired of life, and so we're like,
Yeah.
I don't know where we got the idea, but we were like, hey, let's save some money, buy a van, and drive across the entire country. And so that's what we did. We bought this old 1992 GMC van, and we started in Tennessee, Chattanooga, and we drove. First stop was first stop was Louisiana, New Orleans. That's when we realized the air conditioner didn't work in the van. And then from there, we went all the way along the southern route up to California, up the coast, Washington, Montana, and all the way back to New York.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I know doing that got super popular during COVID and like after COVID because like the remote jobs exploded and people started traveling, but you guys were ahead of the curve there, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
2000. I guess it was 2016 is when we were driving across the country.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I was like fresh out of high school going into college then. I didn't know what to do. I could barely tie my shoes. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Anyways, so last year your agency did over $2 million, and then yourself, you said just about or 800,000. Was that a record year for you?
yeah. That was a record year. The year before that was every year I think since COVID has been a record year, but definitely went to the next level last year with nearly $800,000 of annual premium. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty special. I've only been going since about August, which every month I seem to keep hitting record months too. So
Yeah.
much shorter streak, smaller streak, anyways. But I'd like to keep that rolling. So it's exciting. Every year you're like, I did it again. I did it again. Can I do it
Yeah.
again next year? Like I don't know, but that's pretty special.
Dude, you're killing it, right? You just crossed 20,000. Not to.
Yep, last month I did 20,000, and actually today, well, thankfully you had a rest day. I hit a 12,000 AP deal today, so super
Dang.
excited.
Awesome.
Super excited. So trying to keep up with you guys, anyways. Trying to
Yeah, man.
learn from you guys as much as I can. I recorded your whole session with Eli at conference there, which was great. So I can go back and listen, pick up those small little keys and cues that those important key words that weigh a lot that you don't really pay attention to unless you know. So that's something that I've actually taken from you and Eli and put into effect pretty fast.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so last year, did you have any big highlights to hitting those goals?
So let's see. Yeah, I mean, I did. I crossed $100,000 of annual premium in a single month for the first time. I think it was. Let's see. I think it was August of last year. It might have been August of the year before. I did 70K. That was a new record for me. I think I went from hitting uh, 50,000 was my, in a month to going to 70K. That was a big jump. And then my buddy Eli did 80K. So that was a bigger jump. And so I said, well, I'm not just going to let my friend go, beat me. So then I did
Of course.
100,000. So we've kind of been going at it neck and neck. It's been awesome.
So uncapped 100,000. Was it uncapped or capped?
No, capped was 100. Uncapped, I want to say, was about 120.
Wow. So that's phenomenal. So just working your leads, did you increase? How did you make that big jump? Is my question.
Yeah. So, I mean, the more you do something, the better you get, right?
Of
And the
course.
easier things get. But there's been a lot of additions just inside of our company that have allowed us to do things. So part of that's lead systems that we have in place, automation, a lot of things that have made things easier for us and tools that we have. So it was definitely increasing lead flow, having more people, and then also really emphasizing IULs, Index
Yep.
Universal Life, which I know you've been taking off with.
Yep.
And it's an amazing product, which we've always had available, but it's kind of been more an ancillary product that we help people with. But we've definitely, as a company, started to make that more of a, there's such a demand for it. And so we've been offering that for our clients. So that was definitely a big part of it, was in the Index Universal Life, digging into that, learning that, and helping a lot of clients get that. So it was just a combination of, your skill set develops over time, you get better over time, but then also the development as a company and the development with our marketing and, who we're offering our products to.
So sounds like great timing, one, and then applying your continued education and knowledge of experience to really go after that goal. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. It's funny you just casually say, 122, I think is what it was. Uh, that take home for those listening would be like more than a lot of people make in the entire year for a lot of the U.S. population, which is awesome. Working for a home. Did you do any in-home appointments or all digital?
No, man, the last time I'm trying to remember, I think it was probably in 2020 was the last time that I did an appointment in somebody's house. Everything since then has been either over the phone or a little bit of Zoom, Zoom and then over the phone.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think I've only done one in-home as well. Just older clients, they don't trust the phone, don't know how to use Zoom. They were close to me, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just drive out to you and we can get this taken care of.
There was
So
definitely things that were fun about meeting with people in the house, but it's a trade-off, right? Because you could really connect with people when you're in their homes and find things to connect with them over a little
yeah,
bit easier than over the phone. But now the ability to sit in an office, sit in your home, and as long as you got your laptop, be able to talk to as many clients as you want to in a day. I mean, you can't really beat that.
right. Yeah, I agree. Just because you can help so many more families so much faster than driving around sitting in traffic all day. Especially I'm down here in Atlanta, Georgia, so
Yeah.
75, 285, all the roads here they're like 8 lanes wide, but they're slammed full of traffic all day long. I'm like, I don't understand. There's a right pedal. That's the one you're supposed to be pressing.
Now, what's funny is when I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that's where I
Yep.
started TLG at. I would have to drive to North Carolina, and sometimes the route would take me through Atlanta. So I always hoped that I timed it right, because if you time it right, you can breeze right through. But if you don't,
Yep.
you're sitting there for a while.
Yeah, it's adding a good 90 minutes, 2 hours to the trip. It's
Yeah.
funny.
So,
Okay, so cool. So you've been doing this for about 8 years or so. Do you have any like positive experience or relationships directly with your clients?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I've connected with so many people. That's one of the things I loved about this job, is that every day you're doing the same thing, but every day is different, because every family that you meet with, every person that you connect with, everything's so different. So, um, it's crazy that I've helped hundreds and hundreds of families. I wouldn't say that I've made best friends with clients, but
Yeah.
I'm always making good connections, and and then I've had times where you've helped a family and then they ended up needing the life insurance because something happened, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if you've had that happen yet. Have you had any
Not,
clients?
not yet.
Yeah, it really hits home once it happens, for sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I was in the shower, and that I used that for my thinking time too. And Art said that at conference, he was in the shower drawing on the wall. I did the exact same thing. Just the thoughts come to me, and I was like, you know what? When I was sales manager at Volvo, I really, really believed in the Volvo cars, because my sales manager who hired me showed me the car accidents, showed me the pictures of what happened to people when they got into car accidents with Volvos, and it saved their life and everything. I'm like, wow. Once this unfortunate event does happen, somebody's going to call me in that need, and it's going to really hit home, and like I'll be so thankful that I was able to help them. And it's really going to drive the point forward of how important life insurance is, which thought was special.
For sure, man. What's crazy is, I had a client. It was in my first year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was in 2017, and he was a truck driver.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a hard time trying to land a time where he was home, and I would always miss him. And then I kept following up with him, trying to get.
Yep.
I mean, finally, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be home this weekend." So I went over to their house. It was him and his wife. He was like 42, 43. Took one blood pressure med, smoked cigarettes, but that was it. It wasn't a lot of meds, wasn't a lot of medical situations that he had to deal with when I was doing the underwriting. So we got him a policy. He said, "Hey, I just want to make sure if something happens to me, my wife can pay for the house and has what she needs." And so I helped him out. And it was a few months later, the wife calls me crying, saying that he was in the hospital,
Wow.
and it was in Chattanooga where I live. So I went and visited him, and he had gotten sepsis. So I don't
Wow.
know much about that. I hadn't really known much about it until that happened, and I looked it up. But basically, it shuts down all your organs, and so he was on dialysis. He had a stent put in. He was in rough shape, and but he started recovering, and so he got out. It was right around Thanksgiving, and he went home, and then he took a turn, and then he during that time he actually called me to cancel it. This is crazy, bro. Actually, if you don't mind me sharing this, but
Yeah, go for it.
he called to cancel his policy. So I'm talking to him, and I said, "Well, hey, Cliff, you're dealing with a lot of medical stuff. I recommend not canceling this right now, because if you go to try to get approved for something like this after what you've just been through, it's actually going to be hard." But he's stressed out. He had missed work. This
Right.
thing came back, and so he's just thinking about bills. And so I tried to talk him out of it. I couldn't get through to him, and he actually ended up canceling it.
Wow.
So here's what's crazy: if shortly after that, the wife calls me crying, saying, "Why is this company still sending me letters? He's dead." And I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And she's just crying, like she's just breaking down, and she's frustrated because the company was sending like notices, like, "Hey, if you want to reinstate your policy," and she's like, "Why are they still sending mail when he's dead?" And I said, "Oh my gosh!" And so then I'm thinking about, I was like, what happened? When did that happen? She told me, and I'm thinking in my head, oh, he might still be in the grace period, because the carriers, when you cancel policy, they give you this grace period.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to overpromise anything to her on the phone, so I let her go.
Of course.
I called the company first thing in the morning. Bro, he died. It was like 3 or 4 days before the grace period was over.
Wow.
So we put in a claim, and they paid out, and
Wow.
and that check. I mean, obviously you can't bring back a loved one, but that check that she got was an absolute lifesaver for her. She was a stay-at-home mom. She was a homemaker, and that check was life-changing for her. So that was early on in my insurance career, and I thought, wow, this is insane what we do.
Wow,
You
that just gave me goosebumps. Just feeling that like almost sense of hopelessness, right? That you would feel when you lose your loved one, your spouse, and thinking that that policy was canceled, and then you get that check in the mail. That is just like I wouldn't know what to say. Just like I would be literally speechless.
Yeah. And so I mean, I use that story, and if any licensed agents are watching this, like you can use that story too. Like if anybody's ever, because people get overwhelmed sometimes with their bills, but you
Of
know,
course.
y'all can share that story.
Yeah, it's super powerful. And yeah, again, that's exactly why I know that was a extenuating circumstances, but why we try to make sure that the life insurance coverage that they're applying for doesn't really change their life every day. So they're not going to be missing that money. It might just be a couple Starbucks a month they have to stop getting. So it's not going to be anything crazy, which
Right.
a lot of people don't realize there. But okay, cool. So 2016, 2017 is where you transitioned from part-time to full-time. And beginning of your career, did you have any doubts? I know there had been lots of ups and downs with production, with income and stuff, but what ultimately led you to keep your foot on the gas and stick with it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it was, it didn't, I'll say this, it didn't come easy for me. It wasn't a walk in the park, and I didn't have the skill set. Like none of the really jobs that I had done had really given me the skill set to be good at insurance necessarily. But at the end of the day, what we do is fairly straightforward, fairly simple. But it's not always easy, dealing with people and dealing with objections, and just it's a skill set to learn how to communicate the value of what we offer and to work through maybe some of the resistance that you might get. But at the same time, like what I love about life insurance is that you're appealing to people's the best part of their nature, which is caring for their loved ones. So at the same time, it is different than a lot of other sales. But so it didn't come easy, but I definitely had a vision based on what I was seeing other people in the company doing. I came to one of the events. I talked with other people that had made this work, and I'd heard their stories and what they'd overcome to make it work. So I think I had a vision for where it could go. But I will say this early on. I said when I didn't know if this was going to be as good as they hyped it up to be. You know what I mean? I'm
Of
like,
course, of
maybe
course.
they're lying. Maybe they're saying it's better than what it actually is. But I was like, maybe it's half as good as what they're saying. That's still better than what I'm doing now.
Right?
I'll give it 6 months. And if I can't make it work in 6 months, that was my mindset in the beginning, then I'll go back to painting. You know what I mean? Like they'll always take me back to painting.
Right.
But then so I decided 6 months, and so I didn't really care how hard it was for those 6 months. And then it was probably after a couple months that I was already making money and surpassing what I'd made before. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a 5 year commitment. And in my 20s, I'd never committed to something for 5 years in my life.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to, or at least never consciously done that. So I was like, I'm going to give this 5 years. And so I'm swinging back to what you were asking me. But when I made the 5 year commitment, it was kind of like it didn't matter if things got rough or if things were tough or if it wasn't easy. I just I didn't give myself a way out. And I
Yeah.
think that definitely allowed me to get good because I'd made that commitment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I was actually writing that down. And that's something I'm still in my 20s. I'm 27. That's something that I'm slowly realizing too. I like to say that I employ delayed gratification. But sometimes when stuff isn't working my way, I'm like, why isn't it happening yet? Why isn't it happening yet? And really just, like you said, expanding that horizon, that timeline of when it's going to take place, or giving yourself more time in real life, not microwave time, but real life time.
Yeah.
You'll get there. It's inevitable as long as you keep putting in the work and doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I liked what you said about microwave because that's how a lot of people think of success. It's like, if it doesn't happen right away, well, then I'll go do something else. And they just bounce around from thing to thing to thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, you really just got to plant your flag and decide you're going to be successful in whatever arena you decide you're going to be successful in.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And then going back to what you said about not having really like sales skills moving into life insurance, I think the best life insurance agents had no previous sales skills at all or sales experience because one, they don't have bad habits, they don't know any better. So what they learn when it comes to it is gravy. They don't have to overcome any additional challenges, which
Yeah, no, that's true.
I know some other agents faced myself too when I first started. I just did it lazy. I was super lazy in the beginning, making maybe like 30 phone calls a day, thinking that was going to get me there because that's what I was used to in the car industry, just making 30, 40 phone
Yeah.
calls maybe. And that was a lot. And I was like, oh, I know how to sell. I was a sales manager. I was making over $100 some thousand. I can sell, I can do this, and ignoring everything else.
Yeah.
And I wasn't helping any families until I just let go and realized that it's not just in my experience. So
Yeah.
I think that's a huge help for those out there too who are like, oh, uh, I don't have any sales experience. I don't know if I could do this. I guarantee you can.
No, 100%, dude. You're exactly right. And one thing I love is that if you look at our company, the whole company wide, everybody that's successful, there's a lot of different types of personalities and a lot of different types of backgrounds. I mean, you've got people that had more professional careers, and then you have people that were, working odd jobs or whatever. But
Yeah.
but they've all seemed to having that blank slate and just being teachable and coachable have been able to make this work. So I totally
Yeah.
agree. Anybody that decides to can really do what we do.
Yeah, I think so too, and just wholehearted and a genuine person. I think they can be successful.
Yeah.
But so last year, record year, just about $800,000 in personal production. Number one agent in our company. What motivates you or kind of drives you to keep pushing forward and reach new levels and shoot for new goals? What is your current goal?
Um, you know, uh, I mean, at the end of the day, it's financial freedom and having options and not being confined to a job or to another person. Not being confined to a job where somebody else is dictating, your freedom. So that I would say is the main goal, and then also, I mean, kind of my mentality with everything is like life is short. If
Mhm.
you're here and then you're not. So whatever you're gonna do, like you do it all the way.
Right.
There was a quote that I grabbed onto when I first started. I wish I could remember the whole thing, but it was by the psychologist Abraham Maslow, and it was basically I wish I had it in front of me, but it was basically if you're going to do something, it was basically do your best, because if you don't, you really will end up regretting it. And I'm not doing the quote justice, but it's that idea that, like, if you're going to do something, do it your best, and you're not going to do it perfectly, but do it your best so that you don't have regret. At the end of the day,
Right.
that where like I had to think I had this opportunity where I could really make something happen, and then I decided not to maximize it, not to utilize it, because you don't get phenomenal opportunities. I mean, too many times, at least. I don't think you do.
Yeah, so I know that firsthand experience was thinking back to college as I'm training for a triathlon currently, just so one of a life goal that I want to do because it's challenging.
Yeah.
But I'm not really, I don't really go out and party anymore. I don't really drink. I don't do anything. But back in college, when I was getting paid to run for the university, pay for my education, they'd pay for meals and everything. I just on the weekends go out party, not take care of my body. When I graduated, I looked back and I was like, wow, I thought I was giving it my all, but I had so much more potential to give. I regret going out and partying and doing all that stuff when really made no difference to me and track was more important. So I
Yeah.
agree with that 100%. You got to give it your all or else you will live with that regret. And the pain of regret is much worse than the pain of failure. So
Hey, I found the quote. You want me to read it?
yeah, I want to hear it.
If you deliberately plan to be less than you are capable of being, then I warn you that you'll be deeply unhappy for the rest of your life. You will be evading your own capacities and your own possibilities.
Hmm.
Pretty simple, but pretty profound, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely true. But I'm glad I learned that lesson over something that's not going to drastically hurt my life. Plus,
Yeah.
I learned that lesson pretty young, so got plenty more room to grow.
Did you
Cool.
say? Sorry, I was finding this quote while you were talking. Did you Where did you get with your track? Did you end up like winning some championships?
Yeah, so I'm wearing a shirt right now. We won maybe 7 or 8 conference championships, a few regional championships. Personally, never made it to the national level. Again, probably goes back to that partying on the weekends and skipping a few runs.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so great regionally, and yeah, so got to run there for 4 or 5 years, and it was a great time. So had early success there, transitioned into car sales, and I'm trying to keep it going with TLG here and playing with the big dogs like
Well,
you.
dude, you're ahead of the game, bro. I was 27. I'm pretty sure when I got my license, and to be even making the progress that you're making right now with where you're at and with the system that we have. I mean, dude, 6 months to a year to 2 years from now, it's gonna be insane where you're at.
Well, thank you. Hopefully, I can keep doing it. One of my goals is to get my friends who are in the car industry, where I was working 60, 70 hours a week, making great money. However, I couldn't enjoy that money because I
Right.
was always at work. I was working on my days off. Only day I had off was Sunday, and didn't utilize it to the best. So that's one of my goals, to save my friends out of the car industry so they can be with their families, they can be financially free and do that stuff. But looking for agents who are new, like myself, or new still in licensing, or maybe they have a couple years of having their license but no real experience. Can you give them any advice or insights to kind of fast track or get on to the track for their success?
Yeah, I mean, there was a book that I read really early on that was recommended to me that really, I think, put me in the right mindset, which I definitely recommend. I'm not sure if you've listened to it or read it, but it's 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Yeah. It's a great one, man. I think if you can just, I would say, read that book or listen to it, because that's going to give you the right mindset. And then as far as in this field specifically, like there's people that have done it and that have gained success. So it's a matter of being coachable
Yeah.
and then just deciding, making a decision to max it out and making a commitment so that you don't quit when things are tough. And I think just having that mindset, hey, no matter how hard it is, if I succeed here, it's going to be life changing.
Oh yeah.
And having that positive expectation that if you make this work, it is life changing. And and then massive activity outweighs talent. That was something that I heard from Art Leeser and Aaron Guterman. Massive activity outweighs talent. So you can compensate for your lack of skill by putting in more action and more activity, and that'll allow you to skill up and get the skill set faster. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
my advice.
Uh, I agree 100%. And that's kind of that's what happened. August, September, November, December, I was doing maybe $100. I scaled up, was finally hitting 100, every once in a while, maybe $150 a day. And then January, I was like, you know what? I had just sold a flip property. I had some cash in the bank. I was like, I'm going to attack some leads. And like, I'm going to do $200 a day. Nobody does 200. I'm going to do 200 here. So I'm going to try to talk to 20 people a day. So like just scaling up my effort to accommodate for my skill at that time jump started me. So from December, I hit 5,000 AP. January 15,000, then February, and then it kept going, going, going. I was like, wow, this is it. So I
Yeah,
definitely agree with that there, which is pretty cool. And yeah, commitment I think is one of the biggest ones as well. Commitment is huge, and then being coachable, not a know-it-all because you don't know what you don't know.
yeah.
I think those are pretty big.
And I'll say this about commitment, man, because like it took me forever to realize like the importance of commitment. And I think when you're in your young 20s, I mean, at least for me, like it was really hard to commit to something because you're always thinking, well, if I commit to this, what if it's not the right thing, or what if I, whatever. But like, go all in on whatever it is that you think could be good, and then
Yeah,
you can always course correct along the way. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's such a fear of committing to something, but at the end of the day, like that's what determines your results is the depth of your commitment.
Yeah, I guess it's FOMO, fear of missing out somewhere else. So something that I realized too was like people are worried about the grass being greener on the other side, but if
Right.
you focus on your grass, give it the water, give it the fertilizer,
Yeah.
you're gonna have the green grass. So I think that's the best way to look at it.
All that time that you're worrying about whether you should commit or not, you could have just committed and then like, you know what I mean? Because time's going to pass no matter what, right? Like time's going to pass. So just commit. And then if you have to make a course correction, you can do that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so looking back from where you are today, from when you first started, do you have any valuable pieces of inspiration that an older agent told you, or kind of that you hold on to guide you every day or to guide you in your business?
Man, there's been so many things that I latched onto that people said, whether it was at our events. The events have always been really, really game changing, hearing people from stage sharing their experience and things that they've learned along the way. There is a guy in our company named Van Barnett, and one thing that I latched onto that he said is things didn't. He was a former attorney. Maybe you should interview him sometime. He's a great guy, but he was a former attorney, and then he was used to people like respecting him immediately, and then he joined insurance, and you don't necessarily get that automatic respect. You have to kind of earn it. But
Yeah,
anyways, so it was really hard for him. But then he said that one thing he said from stage was I started having more fun with what we were doing. I started having more fun connecting with the clients that I was helping. And the more fun I started having, the more money I started making.
Right.
And I thought that was really key because, in the beginning, you're anxious, you're anxiety, you're trying to make it work, and you're just thinking about yourself a lot. But that perspective of having fun with what you do and really starting to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, enjoy what you're doing, and relax a little bit. And I know that's kind of like the opposite of what we're talking about, committing and going all in. But at the same time, you can't take yourself too seriously. You can't be so
Right.
absorbed with yourself. You got to focus on helping clients and have fun along the way. And yeah, and when I did that, when I started enjoying what I was doing and enjoying the process, I started making more money as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's something that's just clicking with me too. It's like you want to be like super serious and super professional, but it doesn't really have to be that way. It kind of throws up like a red flag to the client or whoever. So I think just being yourself, being funny, just having fun doing it,
Yeah.
um, and with the actual commitment of the work is what we mean. Uh, that's pretty cool, Van. Um, Talking back to conference, your wife's story, just hearing the way she talked about the story Ariz, was it your wife? Do you guys go to Arizona, the Grand Canyon?
Yeah.
Okay, that story, I was like, wow, this literally sounds like the story of life. Like you go down through life, like ups and downs through life, and then when you turn around and you're faced with that uphill battle, you don't even realize it, but you have to fight through it and make it through. That was one of the biggest stories that I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. Like I'm already a licensed agent producing. If I'm in the back of the room right now, not in licensing or not in licensing, I would be completely sold on how powerful and life changing this is. So listening to her story, listening to your story and other stories where like the commitment and what you guys are willing to go through, it was like, my life is cake, easy. I was like, I just gotta stop complaining, shut up, and get to it today because I didn't have to do that. I don't have to do like half the stuff that other people were willing to do and commit to. And I was like, wow, I need to take advantage of it right now.
Yeah.
That
Man,
was fun.
there's always a lot to be thankful for and grateful for. And, we all have our ups and downs in life that we're dealing with, but, the human experience. But it's, and I've heard Art say this, Art Leeser, that it's not the, oh man, I'm going to botch the quote, but basically it's not the pinnacle of the mountain that's the main fulfillment. It's the character that's built along the way. I wish I could remember the quote exactly, but this that idea is the character that you're building. And even in this business, man, like I love making money and I love making lots of it, and I want to make more because it gives you more options and more control over your life. But at
Yep.
the end of the day, like it really is the personal development and growth that you get along the way, and the things you overcome, and the confidence that you build along the way that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, life can throw all sorts of things at you, and you can lose everything multiple times over, and a lot of successful people have. But the character that you build along the way, the confidence that you build along the way, what you that no nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, and actually, what's funny with that like analogy is when you do. I like hiking and climbing mountains and stuff. That's like when I go on vacation. That's what I want to go like do something outdoor and
Yeah,
adventurous. You spend most of your time doing the actual climb of the mountain, and once you get to the top, you might eat some lunch, take some quick pictures, and then you're like, okay, let's go. And
yeah,
then you're planning for the next trip, and you spend all that time to climb it, and you're up there for maybe 15, 20 minutes to enjoy it. So that's kind of cool because you build yourself in that experience, in that climb up. Then you get to the top and you're like, okay, where's the next peak?
yeah.
That's cool. So you enjoy it for a second. That's pretty cool. Any goals or any big goals for this year, whether it's personal, like for team production, just travel, vacation, anything else going on?
I mean, yeah. There's always, like you're saying, there's always new levels and new possibilities. So, I'm really trying to, you know, emphasize agency building right now. So I'm teaching and training and hiring agents, trying to give them the same opportunity that I've had here at TLG. And I saw a Napoleon Hill quote that said, let me find it real quick. It was very simple, but I thought it was good. It was basically, he said, well, I can't find it, but it basically was like the surest way to success, the fastest way to success is helping others succeed is
Yeah.
the basic idea. So I'm just trying to help others succeed and take advantage of the platform. But, with all the developments we've been going through as a company and automation and all the things we have in the pipeline, it's really hard to say what the possibility is right now.
Yeah.
Because it keeps,
Expanding every
when we
day.
started, $20,000 was a lot, and now
Yeah.
we've got people like Elijah. I think he's over 300,000 uncapped, so far this year or more. So I don't know, man. I'm just trying to max out as much as I can. Keep figuring out what the possibilities are, and
Yeah.
doing it with other people. That's what makes it fun. Is not just being in your a lone ranger, but building a team, building an agency, and watching other people take advantage of the opportunity. Like people like Athena, who's
Yeah.
mother. She has multiple jobs, and she's just doing
Crushing it.
nobody's done before. No insurance experience. So for all you that are thinking about maybe I can make this work, maybe I can't. We got a single mother that's never done this kind of job in her life, and she's breaking the record for a new agent of what they can do in the shortest amount of time. So it's just
Crushing
stuff
it.
like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so I definitely think seeing other people succeed too, just providing them the fruit and them getting after it too is also like super fulfilling, like you said. So that's pretty cool to hear. And yeah, you, Eli, you guys have great knowledge, great experience. So definitely someone to lean into if you're hiring. You have the experience, you have the track record to show that you can do it and have done it. So I think that gives you a huge upper hand. Anything planned in your personal life, vacations or anything?
So we're moving. That's kind of like taking up our thought and time. May 3rd, we'll be in Charleston, South Carolina. So we're focused on getting moved and settled in there. And then, my wife's always talking about where she wants to go next. I think she was talking about Spain and Portugal this morning or something. So we'll see what happens. We went to France a couple months ago. That was awesome. And
Yeah.
but nothing on the calendar right now. But once we get settled in, I'm sure we'll figure out somewhere to go.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, my girlfriend does the same thing. She's always talking about Italy or Spain or doing this, like showing me videos. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I just need to help some more families first, and then we're on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Josh. Well, thank you for your time. And where can people find you if they want to find more about you?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I don't even know what my handles are, but I guess I should give my email, joshsolutions@icloud.com. If any of you want to work with me, feel free. But honestly, if I were you, I would hop on board with Trey. I mean, Trey, dude, you're brand new, but you're learning very fast, very quick. I don't know if you feel it, but I've been watching what you've been doing. It's pretty impressive. So honestly, if you're watching this, connect with Trey and get on his team because he's going places for sure. And it's going to be pretty exciting over the next year and a half.
Well, I appreciate it, Josh. I'll put your email in the description too, just in case they want to check you out. And thanks again for your time today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and congratulations on moving. Are you guys moving into a home?
Actually, there's a luxury apartment in Charleston, right downtown. So we'll be, dude. I've been pushing off the buying a home for a long time. I like, especially in this business, when you got everything taken care of. If anything breaks, you can just make a phone call. And having everything you need right there in one spot's been great. So we're going to do apartment at least one more time, and then probably after that get a house.
Cool. I'm the same way. I have an apartment here in Atlanta, Georgia, right in the middle of the city. I like it. I got the pool, the gym, and right perfect location. So don't blame me there.
Man, we're excited. It's got a nice pool that overlooks the water, and it's right by the bridge going over into Mount Pleasant. So it's gonna be good. I like apartment living.
Very nice. Me too. But anyways, Josh, thank you again for your time, and we'll talk again soon.